Hello everyone, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, we'll discover whether Tieu Lac can survive one more night alone and whether Quan can find her before she disappears forever. If you enjoy the story, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next episode. As the sun began to sink behind the distant hills, Tiola kept walking along a road that seemed to have no end. Her steps had become slower over the past hour. The thin soles of her shoes pressed against loose stones, and every uneven part of the road sent a dull ache through her legs. She had already visited a nearby village, asking quietly whether anyone had a room she could rent. Some people barely looked at her before naming a price. Others shook their heads as soon as they saw the small bag in her hand and the exhaustion on her face. The money in her pocket was not enough. After leaving the village, she passed through a small market. Most of the stalls were preparing to close. Sellers gathered vegetables into baskets, folded cloth covers over their tables, and counted the money they had earned that day. Tieu Lac moved from one stall to another. "Do you need someone to carry goods?" "No. I can clean the floor or arrange the baskets. We already have people. I can work for less. There's nothing today." Every answer was the same. No room, no work, no one willing to help a woman who looked as though she had nowhere to go. With each refusal, the little hope inside Tieu Lac grew weaker. She continued walking until the voices from the market disappeared behind her. Only then did she stop beside the road and press one hand against her stomach. Her breathing had become unsteady. Before she could ignore hunger, she could tell herself that one missed meal did not matter. She could sleep beneath a broken roof and believe the cold would pass when morning came. But now, she was no longer walking alone. Every moment of weakness made her wonder whether the baby was hungry too. Every heavy step brought another fear. What if she had walked too far? What if the dizziness returned while no one was nearby? What if her child suffered because she had been too proud to return? Tieu Lac lowered her head. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm trying. I really am." Only the wind answered her. She reached into her pocket and counted the money again, even though she already knew the amount. It might buy enough food for 1 or 2 days if she was careful, but it could not pay for a proper room, not even for one night. For a moment, she considered buying nothing. She could save the money. She had gone hungry before, but when her hand moved over her stomach, she could not make herself do it. "You need to eat," she said softly, "even if I don't." She returned to the edge of the market and bought the cheapest piece of bread she could find. The seller wrapped it without asking questions. Tieu Lac thanked the woman, then walked away before anyone could see how long she stared at such a small amount of food. Darkness was beginning to cover the road. She had only one place left, the abandoned house. She had promised herself she would never return there. The first time she stayed inside it, every sound had frightened her. The windows were cracked, the door barely closed, rain entered through the roof, and the walls smelled of damp wood and dust. It was not a home. It was only a place the world had forgotten. But perhaps that was exactly why she could still use it. No one would demand rent. No one would ask where she came from. No one would know where she was. Tieu Lac turned away from the main road and followed a narrow path through tall grass. Loose stones shifted beneath her tired feet. More than once, she had to stop and lean against a tree as dizziness rose through her body. Still, she kept moving. Far away at the farm, Quan sat alone beneath the dim light outside the house. The shopping bag remained beside him. Inside were the gifts he had chosen for Tieu Lac. They were simple things, but he had spent the entire journey home imagining her reaction. She would probably look surprised. Then she would lower her eyes and say he should not have spent money on her. He had even imagined the small smile she would try to hide. Now the bag remained unopened. Quan checked the road again. Nothing. Only empty fields and shadows moving between the trees. He had been waiting for hours. At first, he told himself that Tieu Lac needed time to think. She had always carried her worries alone. Perhaps she had gone somewhere quiet and would return after calming down. But the longer he waited, the less believable that explanation became. He checked his phone. No message, no missed call. No sign that she had tried to contact him. Her letter was still inside the house. Quan had read it so many times that he knew every line. She had thanked him. She had asked him not to search. She had written as if disappearing from his life was an act of kindness. Quan could not understand it. How could leaving without a word be kind? How could making him sit there, not knowing whether she was hungry or hurt, be a way of protecting him? He was angry with her. But beneath that anger was something more difficult to admit. He was afraid. Tieu Lac had little money. She had no family waiting for her and no safe place that he knew about. She had already been weak before she left. The more he thought about it, the more impossible it became to remain still. Yet part of him kept waiting because this was the one place she might return to. If he left and she came back, she would find another empty house. So Quan stayed through the fading light, the growing cold, and the silence that seemed to press against his chest. Still, with every passing minute, the empty road made that hope feel less like faith and more like fear. Meanwhile, Tieu Lac finally reached the abandoned house. The building looked worse than she remembered. Tall grass covered the walls, one side of the roof leaned lower than before, and the old wooden door moved whenever the wind passed through the broken frame. Tieu Lac stood outside with one hand over her stomach. "This is only temporary," she whispered. "We won't stay here forever." She pushed the door open. Dust rose from the floor. The smell of damp wood filled the room. In one corner, an old cloth she had once used as a blanket was still there. It was dirty, but dry enough to use. She found an old container for water, a wooden board to cover part of the broken window, and one corner where the roof seemed less likely to leak. It was almost nothing, but for tonight almost nothing had to be enough. Tieu Lac lowered herself to the floor. Her legs trembled from exhaustion. For a few seconds, she sat with her eyes closed, listening to the wind move through the cracks. Then she remembered the bread. She took it out carefully and broke off a small piece. Normally, she would have saved most of it for the next day. She had learned how to live with hunger. But when she looked down at her stomach, she forced herself to eat. "You need this," she said softly. "Even if I don't." The bread was dry and difficult to swallow. She drank only a little water, afraid of wasting what remained. Then tears began to fall. "I never thought your life would begin like this," she whispered. "I never thought I would bring you somewhere so cold." Her voice broke. "When it was only me, I could endure anything. I could be hungry. I could sleep anywhere. But now I'm scared." At the farm, Quan was still waiting. The cold had become sharper. He stood, walked toward the road, and looked into the darkness one more time. Nothing. The shopping bag remained beside the chair. Quan stared at it, then picked it up. "If you won't come back," he said under his breath, "then I'll find you myself." He went inside, took Tieu Lac's photograph, and checked his phone again. Still no message. He tried to think of every place she might go. The market, the old road near the village, the fields where temporary workers gathered, any place where she could earn money without asking him for help. That was what frightened him most. Tieu Lac would rather exhaust herself than let anyone believe she was a burden. Quan locked the house and started toward the market. By the time he arrived, most shops were closing. Sellers were pulling cloth over their stalls and carrying baskets inside. Quan approached the first person he saw and held up Tieu Lac's photograph. "Have you seen this woman?" The man shook his head. Quan moved to another stall, then another. Some people did not recognize her. Others remembered seeing her before, but not that day. Finally, an elderly fruit seller leaned closer to the photograph. "I saw her this afternoon," the woman said. Quan stepped forward. "When?" "A few hours ago. She looked tired." "Was she alone?" "Yes." "Did she say where she was going?" She asked whether anyone needed help carrying goods or cleaning, but there wasn't much work today. Quan's jaw tightened. "Did she eat anything?" "I don't know." "She stood near the food stalls, but I didn't see her buy much." The answer filled him with anger and fear. She had walked through the market asking strangers for work. She had been hungry, and still she had refused to return to the farm. Which direction did she go? The fruit seller pointed toward the road outside the market. That way, but it was hours ago. Quan thanked her and hurried away. The road divided into several paths. One led toward the village, another continued toward the hills. A third passed through old farmland where abandoned buildings stood. Quan stopped at the intersection and tried to think the way Tieu Lac would. She would avoid crowded places. She would not spend money on a room unless she had no other choice. She would look for somewhere quiet, somewhere no one would ask questions. Then the abandoned house came to mind. He remembered Tieu Lac once mentioning it. She had taken shelter there before coming to the farm. Quan turned toward the old farmland. But inside the abandoned house, Tieu Lac could no longer relax. A branch scraped against the roof. The wooden door moved in the wind. Something ran through the grass near the broken window. She held the wooden board in both hands, although she knew it could not truly protect her. The house was too isolated. If she became sick, no one would know. If something happened to the baby, she had no way to ask for help. Tieu Lac looked around the dark room and admitted what she had been avoiding. She could not stay there for long. Returning to the farm was not an option. If she went back, she would have to face Quan. She would have to explain the pregnancy and watch him choose between her, the baby, and the future his family expected. She could not do that to him. But staying near the farm was also dangerous. Quan knew the roads. He knew the market. Sooner or later, he would find her. Tieu Lac placed one hand over her stomach and made a decision. Tomorrow, she would leave the area completely. She would go beyond the village, beyond the roads Quan might search, and begin again in a place where no one knew her. She did not know whether she would find work or shelter, but she could not build a new life while constantly looking over her shoulder. This time, she whispered to the baby, "We will go somewhere far away." The words frightened her, but they also brought a strange calm. For the first time since leaving the farm, she had chosen a direction. Far away, Quan continued down the road, searching for any sign that she had passed that way. Inside the abandoned house, Tieu Lac closed her eyes with one final promise. When morning came, mother and child would begin again somewhere far away.